Hey guys, you're listening to the CPR podcast with me, your host, June Kato Ryder.
We are back.
I think we're back.
Yeah.
Were we ever really gone is the question.
Felt like
Felt like a while. Well, for me it felt like it was a while. But apparently to Aaron it felt like it was no time at all.
yeah,
So
I just felt like it
clearly-
was yesterday that we're doing our first one, and now we're on our
We're on our third one, exactly.
Awesome.
So clearly time moves differently for everyone.
Yeah.
Hey guys, nice to be back. I'm June, and this is Aaron.
Hey guys,
And you're listening.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. You're listening to us say welcome back. This is the CPR podcast, and
Where we talk about all things
relationships and children and
Parenting,
parents and
all the good stuff.
just relationships and humans and all the good stuff in general. All
all the important stuff.
of the
in life.
important stuff. Yeah, totally. But before, actually, no, all of this is super important. So, like, there's this,
Yeah.
okay, so, you guys might have noticed, if you're watching, not listening, if you're listening, you don't know anything
watching on
changed at all.
YouTube.
If you're watching on YouTube, that's a good point.
Yeah.
If you're watching on YouTube, you've probably noticed that our set has changed somewhat. The thing is, like last time, so we tried doing it with like this white sheet in the back, like for those of you who haven't seen, and Aaron's like super professional videographer and stuff, and so I think we're hoping that we could have like made it look a little bit better, but it was all wrinkled, so it looked a little bit cheap. And we were watching it, and I was like,
Yeah, we didn't have the lights to light it properly.
yeah,
we're just starting off.
We're still
so.
figuring it out, and so
Yeah.
we're like, forget the sheet.
This couch is
It
more
looks
comfortable.
silly. This couch is more comfortable, but
So,
now we have another
we'll just do
problem,
the
which
couch.
is that I've color coordinated with the couch completely, so you can't really see my body.
She just
I
blends
am
into
literally the same color as the couch. Look at this. This is wow. It's amazing.
color coordinated with the couch. today.
Totally. So I am one with this couch now. So obviously there are still going to be things and kinks that we're going to be figuring out in the future. But for now, this is our new setup for
Yay.
these. And other than that, okay. So the last 2 episodes were around like 30 minutes or so. Oh, I didn't mention this is housekeeping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
housekeeping.
Did I? Did I
No.
say that?
No, you
I
didn't
didn't.
say
This
it.
is housekeeping.
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 No, was it dong dong dong? No, ding dong. Housekeeping.
Either one. Dun, dun. Housekeeping. Only towels, please.
Come in.
Come in right now.
Okay.
Yeah. What was I saying?
Housekeeping.
No, before that. Oh,
yeah. So
yes,
30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
And see, that wasn't really like enough time to get into like real conversational topics and stuff like that. So
Well,
we're probably going to go a little bit
It was a good
longer.
start, you know.
I think it was a good
Warm
start,
Up.
yeah. But I realized I have so much more to say. So
Yeah. So
I
we can.
apologize to Aaron.
So this one might be a bit. No, I'm fine.
a little bit longer.
It'll be a bit long, you know.
So
50, an hour,
50,
hour and a half.
Yeah,
We'll see.
We'll see how
All
this
good.
goes. It'll be very exciting and super interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But as we're thinking, before we start, Aaron, you want to tell me what your highs and lows are from the past, like at least in between the last time that we recorded?
Highs and
like,
lows from the
yeah,
last
your
time.
best moments,
Well-
and biggest challenges.
Remember you saying like, do that brave thing,
Yeah.
right? So, well, for me, the brave thing was to do this with you. So I'm like, check, and then like this week again, what's your brave thing? We're here again, so check.
Are you serious?
Brave thing every single time.
No, it's new.
So-
it has to be something new.
Okay,
'cause,
well, the short film
yeah,
that was cool.
the short film.
The short film.
Can you
we
tell
got
us a
the
little bit
awards.
more about that?
Yeah, so I'm usually behind the camera, like I said
Uh-huh.
before, full-time filmmaker, and me and a friend of mine, we just made a documentary,
Mm-hmm.
and that documentary we submitted to a couple film festivals, and we already won 3.
3 awards, 3
What-
international film
3
festival
international
awards.
film festival
That's
awards, so
pretty
that
cool.
was pretty awesome. And yeah, I just put it out on the Instagram and the Facebook and stuff like that, and a lot of people were like, "Yay, congratulations!" And yeah, it's just the beginning. We went to a couple other places, Sundance and a
so
few other
exciting.
places. So we're still waiting for that, but that's
What's your documentary called?
it's called HIV Saved My Life. It's about a guy who got HIV and went through the whole journey of, you know, feeling depressed, suicidal, trying to take his life, and and then road to recovery, and now basically
The new father.
yeah, well, he has a new kid, and kid is healthy.
Kid is
and
healthy,
the last he
HIV-free.
checked from the doctors, he's like HIV free. I think it's a great story, and yeah, we've been working on this for quite a while now. I think beginning of last year is when I first heard about it. We did one small project together just to make sure that we work together well. I think it's good to just get a little bit, get to know the client, my friend, client a little bit
My
to
friend.
make sure that we work together well, because this project is so like personal for him.
Yeah.
So he was a little bit like not hesitant, but like, okay, let's do one little project first and see how it goes, and then we work together well. Then we can go to the next step and do this big long project.
Ah,
Things like
okay. That's
An
so
interesting
cool.
story, actually. I probably told you already, but the documentary that we did together, for the mothers,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He actually saw that,
Okay.
and when he saw that, he was like, "Oh, this is I really love it. It's great. It touched me, and I want you to do my documentary as well." So
Oh, that's how we decided?
Yeah, that's how we decided.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
you're welcome, Aaron.
thanks to you.
You're welcome for
it was,
the
it was, It was
tears.
good. It was good because
Aw,
he
that's
saw
so
it, and just the
cool.
whole vibe and the feeling like, okay, I think I can,
Yeah.
trust you with telling my story.
Yeah, and it's a
and it is a
really-
very personal story.
Very
so
personal, very heavy. Yeah.
when we filmed it, there wasn't like a big crew or anything. It was just basically me most of the time doing these personal interviews with him, and he said that he was like very comfortable just talking with me, and interviews, and we did a lot of them, and we worked on that for like a week of interviews and stuff like that, and then yeah, we just finished end of December, came out in January, and then we started putting it on different film festivals, and
That's
I
amazing.
already won 3, so yeah, it's a
Already
good
won
documentary.
3.
I can put that in the link
Yeah,
below.
for sure. You guys go check the link in the description
yeah.
on YouTube.
We
You can watch
we
it.
just made a trailer for that, so we can put that there. If you guys are interested, you can watch the full one.
But for the
yeah, we'll
people
put
who
it
are
on there.
listening, if they just search on YouTube for it, will they find it? The HIV Saved
Yeah,
My Life.
HIV Saved My Life.
Great, guys.
So
you
that's
should give it a look. Award-winning director. Director of an award-winning documentary. I'm gonna get it one of these days.
So that was like
Whoa.
my first official kind of getting something.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
like,
so
ooh,
cool.
I've never
That's
won
really amazing.
something for
Yeah.
film and stuff, So that was just like,
Congratulations.
very excited
Yeah,
and stuff,
you should
and
be.
I think
Well done.
possibly in the future there'll be, if there's any other news of other things going on in that, I'll
Yeah, you
let
update
you
us.
and
Update
you and
all
of you,
anyone
everyone
in
know.
here. So what's your challenge then? Your low.
my law.
Should we have started with the low and gone to the high?
Yeah, maybe we should.
Sorry.
Or is there?
I
there
mean,
lows?
I don't know.
I was
Highs
a
and
little bit. I
lows.
was a little bit sick.
Oh, gross.
Just
Corona?
Too much Corona beer, but not coronavirus. No. Yeah, just. I always feel a little bit down when I'm like not sick, but like just don't
Yeah.
have that quite high energy. Because like I feel I'm getting a little bit older, so I'm trying to stay fit and active
Yeah.
and healthy. I do calisthenics a couple times a week, and try to stay fit and healthy and have the energy.
Yeah.
So when I feel a little bit down, it's like, oh God, I can't do as much stuff. I can't work as much or work out or do things. So I guess it's a little bit of a downer.
I see.
But yeah,
That's not so bad.
it's not so
That's
bad.
just the challenge of age. And age
Yeah,
is just...
but I want to stay young.
Yeah, stay young and
Let's stay young.
Stay young and sexy.
Forever young.
Forever
21.
young. Forever 21. No, I'm so glad my 20s are behind me. Oh my god, are you kidding me? Other than the really nice skin, I'm so glad I'm done being in my 20s. That was
Yeah.
exhausting, man. It was super exciting but exhausting.
What about yourself?
My high and my low are kind of funnily, they're the same thing. So this is something that's been going on for like the past 2 weeks back at my school. Not at my school, at the school that my son, his name is Junior, is going to. He's in kindergarten right now. And so last year at Christmas, the whole school, each of the classes put on a Christmas pageant of the first Christmas, the story of the birth of Jesus in the manger. And all the kids were practicing, and they did it on the day the teachers had told us, they asked us, please don't bring your cameras, don't bring your phones, just be really present, and just watch with your own eyes, enjoy the pageant, be with the kids, and don't worry, we've hired a videographer and a cameraman, and they're going to take pictures of your kids, they're going to take video of the whole pageant, so don't worry about it, we've got it covered. And so we all went last year to the pageant, and we all watched the kids, and it was very clear. Last year, for the moment that the video is going to be terrible. Okay.
Why?
So the videographer is this old man, old, super old, probably 70s, 80s, maybe. He's clearly not good on his feet. He's kind of stumbling around.
A little bit shaky.
A little bit shaky. He had one tripod and one little camcorder, an old camcorder from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And so the whole time I was watching with my partner. By the way, this is another little side note, housekeeping thing. My partner's name is Masa. I don't know why I just kept calling him my partner. I thought maybe he didn't want to be known or associated with me, which is ridiculous. His name is Masa. Okay.
He's an international spy.
He's an international man of mystery.
Yeah,
so you can't know
very
his true
mysterious.
name. Masa is an acronym for something.
Man
And super alien. Yeah. Close enough.
Super.
Anyways.
Something. Super aristocrat.
Yeah.
Aristocat.
Super aristocrat. No,
Super
he doesn't
artsy.
like cats. Super
That's
artsy.
pretty artsy, though.
Can be.
That's pretty artsy.
Anyways.
So
we're
you were kind of
watching-
worried the whole time.
Well, I already knew, we both were watching, and he was old, he was fumbling with his camera, and he was tripping over his tripod, his one tiny tripod. And when the pageant started, there's the kids where they were placed and where we were seated, and he should have been filming from the stage directly towards the kids where they were standing. However, he was behind the kids, and he was in between the pageant. He would just close his camcorder and then run around and move to another position. And when it started, I don't even think he was in position to start filming. So we knew no, we're not getting anything from this guy. And so we just kind of gave up in our minds that we're going to get any pictures or footage from this. And they said that we could order a DVD, but when it came around to ordering, I was like, forget it. I don't want to pay for it. I already know it's going to be crap. This is just a memory in my mind. But 2 weeks ago, I get this all-school message in my email from the teachers,
Right.
And they say that in this message. Oh my God! They said that, okay, I'm so sorry, mothers or parents. You're all gonna get refunded for the pictures and the DVDs that you bought. We got the refund from the videographer, and since there was such a big stink about the parents not being able to get their videos and pictures of their kids from that event, we're gonna have the Christmas pageant again.
What?
In February. Oh my God, it was so ridiculous. And so Masa and I were sitting there oh my God, which mom has so much clout that her stink made the
whole
Encho sensei
school.
decide that they're gonna put on the whole pageant again. And the teachers were oh, we're so sorry, but since it's been nearly 2 months since the last pageant, please give us a little time to get the kids rehearsed again so we can have the pageant in 2 weeks time. I was just oh my God, this is so crazy. And they're so this time, parents, you could bring your cameras, you could take videos.
Bring all the things.
Bring all the things. It's a do-over. On top of that, we got another professional videographer, and he has 3 professional cameras. Don't you worry. And Masa and I were do we have to do this again?
Let's just leave it as a fond memory.
Can we just leave it as a fond memory? And so, literally, we're trying to, figure out if we can even make it on this new date. And then yesterday, I get a message from the school saying, sorry, now, because of influenza and the coronavirus, the whole pageant has been canceled.
Oh, my God. That's
I
cool.
mean, as ridiculous as it all is, and as annoying, and all the jumping through hoops and all of that, I totally understand like the hilarious side of it. So it's both my high and my low. It's a ridiculous story
That's very
of kindergarten drama in Japan.
up and down there.
Yeah, it was very up and down. I was like thinking, who is this mom who's got this like this power? I was like,
I bet there's just a little strong
a little
moms club there.
Club.
Just like
yeah, I was telling one of my
putting their foot
sisters, and she
down.
was like, "This sounds like Big Little Lies." I'm like, I guess I should watch that then.
yeah, for sure. There's some
But-
strong ladies just being like.
Strong ladies, just
Well, that's
like
so sad,
not
though,
happy
like-
about it. Yeah.
I mean, but I get the school's position as well, because like they're like, leave it to us. We got a professional guy, and they trusted the guy,
They
and the
trusted
guy's
the guy,
like,
and the guy was like a geriatric.
didn't pull through.
He didn't.
So they're like,
that's
yeah.
pretty disappointing for everybody.
sure, yeah.
And so I felt really bad because he was really just an old man. He was an old man.
Yeah.
He looked like he like
I'm sure
had
he
the
was
old
trying his
hair,
best,
and he had to
and-
comb over it. It looked like he dyed his hair especially for the pageant. Especially black for the pageant. For me,
Like I don't want to look 80, so I'm
I don't
gonna
want to
dye
look
it.
great.
So
I
I'll
guess
look
I'll look
70.
79.
Yeah.
Anyways.
No, but I get that though,
so-
cause yeah, that you just do once and it's like done and gone.
Yeah.
Like I've done a few like shoots with my clients where I forgot to like push
Press
the record
record.
button. I mean, this happens with pretty much everybody.
Oh my god,
And
behind
then-
the scenes.
Yeah, and you push it, and then you're like, okay, and cut, and you push the
Record button.
button to cut, and then it starts recording. Like,
No.
oh shit.
That sucks, man.
And then they're like, clients like, so how was that? I'm like, we should do it again.
We need another take, just in case,
You stuttered a few times there, and maybe the second time you'll be smoother. They're like,
Oh,
oh
man.
okay, cool.
Tricks of the trade.
But it's true. A lot of times the second
Yeah.
time it is a
It
little
is
bit
a little
smoother.
smoother.
But yeah, sometimes
You can't do that with a kid's pageant,
Of course you
man.
can. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like
but-
something like that is like
yeah.
filmmakers' like worst nightmare.
I
Like,
believe you, man. Because sometimes the real magic just happens in the moment.
Right,
And if
yeah. And if you don't catch
you
it,
can't recreate it.
it's gone. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was
That
my
is definitely a high and low.
and my low for the past week, for
Yeah.
that couple of weeks. It's just, I just was laughing the whole time, thank goodness, because I'm sure so many moms were like, had their panties in a bunch about
Yeah.
missing that moment. But anyways,
Yeah, I mean those kind of things usually me too. Like it's like so frustrating, and you're like almost mad, but you just gotta laugh. And
gotta laugh.
just,
You
like,
gotta laugh. And that's how I've gotten through a lot of my life, is just laughing at it. I mean, of course you have to cry when you cry, but when you get through it, you
Yeah.
look back and everything is just a hilarious story. Everything in my life, my biggest, most embarrassing mistakes have always been the best stories ever. You know?
Yeah. For yours, at the time, maybe they're not.
No,
the
of course
best,
not. They're not. They suck.
But, I know, you're just like, oh fuck. But then
Yeah.
usually later on, you look at those type of stuff
Yeah.
with fond memories.
Exactly.
Like,
And you're like, remember
that one time?
Do you remember how angry that
Yeah.
person was?
Or we did this stupid thing and that stupid thing, and
Exactly.
then you're like, yeah, you just laugh at it now.
You just laugh.
Or you
Yeah.
you
In the
learn
moment,
from it.
it's
In the moment,
rough,
just
but-
like, oh, so bad.
And then you cry. Do whatever. You do whatever to move on. But I like to laugh at situations.
Yeah.
And so, how do we do this? How do we do
What?
this?
So
So,
housekeeping, right?
that was
Is
housekeeping. That was housekeeping.
Okay,
And that was
just
the
kinda-
highs and lows.
Highs and low, okay.
And now we can sort of mosey on to the main topic.
Right.
The main topic was actually something that I've been wanting to talk about, just in general in my life for a while. It's not like it had to come on this podcast or at this time or this episode, but like a year or two ago, I can't remember exactly when, I was having this conversation with my dad. And
Right.
we have a very interesting relationship, but I was watching him, and this thought popped into my head, and the thought was, a man with no secrets is a man who is free. And the moment I thought of that, I was like, oh my God, I don't want to live my life with secrets and like having to edit myself and curate myself and only show parts of me that I think are acceptable. And one big thing about that
That's a
that I've been
good point, though. Wow,
Right?
that's a heavy.
that was a heavy realization
I don't
for
think
me.
I've heard that quote in that exact.
It's not
way.
I've never heard it. Oh, is it a quote?
I don't know. Is it a quote?
No, I've never. I mean, maybe I'm sure some other people have had that realization, but for me, it just
yeah.
like dawned,
That's
like,
heavy, yeah.
and I was like, I don't want to live my life with secrets, and I had been for so long. You know, what?
It's like a burden, you know?
Yeah, it's such a
Get rid
burden.
of that.
Secrets carrying around, and like, if I tell this person this, will they accept me? Or like, you know. And so I just, from that point on, made it a point to live my life without as many secrets as possible, and just, you know, being as open as possible. And it's been really, really light. But the biggest one that I'd been sort of skirting, you know, is just about my past and where I come from. Why I am bilingual, why I dropped out of high school. I think.
Hey, better than me. I was gonna be like,
Yeah, why my education is so weirdly scattered, you know, all of that. And so for the people who already know me, you know, it's no big surprise, and I'm sure you guys are open in your own ways or not. But for me, in the professional world in which I lived, or at least, especially with the way that I was brought up, it was not okay to talk about where I come from and how my family has been, you know, structured in this. It's a very interesting, unusual way. So
I think maybe your family more than other families,
Yeah.
just because of the whole.
you can't hide it the way that my
dynamic
family is.
the numbers.
The numbers alone bring question.
Right.
You know, everybody always
Yeah.
asks, and so. Yeah, I haven't actually even thought of how to really just to come out and say it yet. So usually the way that it happens in conversation, when I'm telling someone new, is like I just like vomit it out like. Ugh. So I guess I'll do the same thing here.
Just vomit it
I'll just
out.
vomit it out, and then, you know, we'll pick up the pieces one at a time and be like, this is what I meant. So I was born into this cult called originally the Children of God, that originated in California in the 1960s on Huntington Beach. And they were originally
Really?
just a group of hippies that just were, it was the whole, was it Satanic Panic? No, must have been a little bit before that. But it was around a time when everything was like, there was the war going on in Vietnam, and then on the other hand, to kind of like balance it out, there was the whole love and peace movement with the hippies. And among
Hippies,
that, this very special guy, I say special in the most
Special way.
broad term.
Broad
You can take that
strokes?
however you want to. Yeah. Guy started up a group, a movement of hippies spreading love and talking about Jesus. And that group moved over to Japan in the 70s. And that's when my parents, who are very young in their teens, my dad, I think he was like 15 the first time he joined.
Wow.
Yeah, he was 15
Really?
when they came to
So
Japan.
young.
He joined. He was so young. He hadn't finished high school. Is he 16 or 17? I don't know. The timeline's getting
Wow,
mixed
so
up.
young.
Yeah, super young. And so
Wow.
my grandma was like, no, you come back here. You finish high school and then you can join.
At least.
At least finish high school. So he went and he finished high school, and then he joined, and he met my mom there. And I'm not going to go too much into the details. Maybe at some point I'll reference it in the future because, of course, you know, having been born into this environment has shaped a lot of the ways that I interact with the world and my relationship with myself, as well as with other people, and child rearing, as well as, you know, everything. But pretty much that's where I come from. Oh my God.
I'm so shocked.
So shocking.
I don't even know you
You
anymore.
don't know me.
You shan't
Well,
be-
I'm free now. I have no
You
secrets.
shan't be my friend no longer.
Thanks,
Any
Aaron.
longer.
Thanks, Aaron. I knew that you couldn't handle it.
I couldn't handle the truth.
You couldn't handle the truth. It's okay. I still accept you. So what's your secret?
I don't have a secret.
I didn't think so.
Anyone that asks me, I'll be like, yeah, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up in a cult too.
Yeah. Which
I mean,
one?
I mean, someone in Huntington,
Somewhere.
the beach.
That's where you
somewhere.
are from.
No, yeah, it is the same one.
The same one.
But I'm sure the different places we were or our
Mm-hmm.
upbringing, you know, depending on the location,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff was definitely different.
It's definitely different, and so that's one thing that's really interesting when you talk to like all of the different people who have come from the same background. Every different little home was its own subculture
Or area.
and it was
It's
so
quite
different.
yeah.
Everybody's experiences are so diverse, and all of their stories are so interesting, and the way that people have made their way through it or are still kind of stuck in it. It's I think that would actually be a really interesting documentary.
Like I remember like even in this, you know, you're in the same group in the same country, but then there's like these rivalries, you know. Remember like north and south and east and west and like different areas. Like even within that, there's like sub of this and all these little things going on.
Little movements here and there. Yeah. There was always something going on.
So that's even that in itself is quite interesting.
Yeah, there are so many layers and so many different like stages within the Children of God, which eventually turned into the Family International, or the Family International. I'm not entirely sure because I actually left when I was quite young.
No, you were talking about you left.
Oh, yeah. A lot of that had to do with like my dad and just the type of personality he was. Like he was always like a rebel, like a rabble rouser. Yeah. He would always do things differently in his own way.
Your dad was always like when I met him like the first time, like
when was that?
This was at some Greenfields or Ronnie's.
That was the name of one of the homes.
Basically, there was a little get-together thing.
Okay.
And then he was like, let's watch this cool movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I'm like,
oh my God.
And then, like, I think before the movie, he's like, oh, I'm going to play you guys a little music. And he pulls out his electric guitar.
Are you serious?
I was like, oh my God, so cool. He's like the coolest guy ever.
Got in like so much trouble for like being too
loud.
Carnal-minded. Carnal-minded means wanting things of this world.
Yeah. Well, that was my first impression of him.
Wow. How old are you?
12?
Wow.
Probably 12-ish. And I'm 11, 12.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
and that was the first time I ever met your dad.
Wow.
Crazy movie and crazy guitar. I'm just like,
he blew your mind.
Yeah, he's the coolest. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of like I think what most of us kids felt, but I think around like a lot of the other adults, they really didn't like it because he would always question authority, which in general, you know, people in movies, we love it when people question authority and they like buck the tides and they go against the grain.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
He actually came up against quite a lot of resistance in the group, and he had a lot of trouble with that. But where was I going with this? I had a point.
She had a point.
It was a very interesting upbringing, and
for sure.
I am number 5 out of 14 of the children that came from my biological mother. And other than my biological mother, I also have a stepmother who has 7 kids from my dad as well.
Wait.
And then another sister.
So your mom has 14. And the other
she has given
stepmom
birth
has 7.
Yes, 7. And then
I thought it was like 7 each that made 14.
No, my tiny little mom. My mom is tiny.
Shit.
I am like only 150 centimeters tall, but she like comes up to my shoulder. And yet she has given birth to 14 human beings. Like, it's insane.
Mad respect for that.
I know, right? Like, absolute insane.
So 14 and plus 7, yeah?
14 and then plus 7 and then plus another one half sister. That's all that I'm aware of at the moment.
Right. Right, yeah.
So, just it's like pretty much a whole, not a company, what do we call it? Like a whole, we could take over an island in like a few more generations.
Yeah.
I think so. If we could just get our shit together.
That's huge. It's a little cult in itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Just your family.
Yeah, totally. And so
you count all the people that your siblings are married to and then their kids, and it's just like
yes. Yes,
family reunion
tried
photos
to
would be
do
like
that in my mind once,
in a
and I
football
literally
field.
almost got a headache, so I gave up.
Yeah.
But inside the cult, the Children of God, what they really pushed was that every child is a gift from God. We should not be using contraceptives. Spread the gifts. Have
Yeah.
the children. And so if you were a woman inside this group and you got pregnant, you have no choice but to have this child. And so, my mom just kept having more and more kids, and it was kind of unbelievable. She's not the only one. There are other women who had like
Some big families
big
too,
families,
but not
yeah.
that big.
I think there must have been another one. And she was actually on TV once, like I think 15, almost 20 years ago,
Yeah?
where like there's a Japanese TV show called like Daikazoku something something, and they actually went and interviewed her.
Yeah, because I know a few of my friends, they have like, 7,
7, 10, and 11.
10-ish, but
yeah.
not that many.
It's a super big family, and maybe it was partially because of that, and also just seeing like the way that kids were treated inside the group made me feel like from a very young age I was like, I am never having kids. And I had also been very clear in my mind that this is really interesting because I had always known from a very young age, I was like, okay, I don't want to have kids.
Right.
And if I do get pregnant, I already know I'm okay with having an abortion. I'm cool with it. And I'd known this from a very young age, like maybe 10, 11.
Right.
Even though it was so frowned upon and all of that. There was something very clear inside of me. I was like, no, actually, I know this is my life and I am in control of it. I do not want to have a kid.
Yeah.
Which is why it was so very shocking when I did have a child. And it was weird because the moment I had like the pregnancy test and I was like, okay, I'm pregnant. What am I going to do? It was almost like my son spoke to me. He wasn't a son yet. He was still an embryo. He was like,
I was wondering about that because I remember like you back in the day before being like, I don't want to have kids. When I didn't know you as well, I remember you or someone saying that, you never want to have kids. That's just not in me, and that's totally fine. Like a lot of people nowadays, they don't want to have kids.
Yeah.
They want to work on their career or do other things. I'm sure you have a bunch of brothers and sisters, or your brothers and sisters have their own kids, and you can just be the greatest aunt or whatever.
Even
like
then,
that.
I was a terrible aunt.
Okay, well,
like so not present.
Okay. Whatever. Okay. So you're like, and that's your choice, and that's 100% totally fine.
It is.
But then,
it's
what
fine.
was like the little?
See, that's
turning
the thing that I can't really explain. It was just a knowing. I knew when I got pregnant, and then when I took the pregnancy test, and I knew that I was pregnant. I was like, okay, it's you and me, child, baby. We're gonna do this, and it just like my brain switched on. It was like, okay, here we go. And like for better or worse, it's not like I knew it was gonna happen or what I was gonna do, how I was gonna like raise him or take care of him at that point. But something in me was just like switched on. Like I don't know, like all of the stars like
kind of aligned.
Yeah.
I guess like even like you when you fall in love with somebody or you love them and you're gonna marry them and like you are the one. Yeah. Is there like a certain thing that you can explain why you think that person is the one? It's more like just kind of like a
no, you can make up all kinds of excuses, but the thing is, the feeling comes first, and then the thoughts and the reasons.
That's
come
what I mean.
after.
Yeah. So you just have kind of this feeling. It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
It was something like that.
Something like that. It was this knowing instantly, and it was super interesting because I was talking to one of my exes at the time, and when I got pregnant, and I was saying to him, I was like, it's so hard to explain, but I feel this absolute certainty that I am about to meet the love of my life. I just knew that my son was going to be the love of my life. And so...
Not talking about you.
Not
talking about you.
Exactly. I'm sorry. Not talking about any of you guys. I'm talking about this baby here. And so that was like kind of the knowing that brought me, to actually deciding to give birth.
Yeah, because I imagine like if you're talking to your ex and he knows that you were very adamant about not having a kid, like never ever ever.
Yeah.
right?
Pretty
So
much.
he knew that.
Yes.
So, like-
well, the thing is, like, what my ex, we were married for 5 years. Neither of us were really. We didn't dislike kids, and we were never like, oh, shut the door on it. We're never gonna have kids. But it was pretty clear we weren't gonna have kids.
Yeah.
You know.
So okay, well maybe that's a bit easier if he's like
Yeah.
I-
Yeah.
and you were like more adamant, but he was like pretty like nah.
I think, you know, if it happened, we probably would have tried to find a way to make it work, but I'm
Right.
so thankful that we didn't. Like, everything happens when it's meant to, and
Right.
I'm really glad that it didn't happen.
You guys were just having the dogs, and that was good enough.
We had 3 dogs and 3 cats, and that was
Yeah,
a lot.
Remember that one big dog you brought over?
Which one?
Shiz, remember the
Oh,
hound?
Cyrus.
Was it
yeah,
that one? It's huge, right? Big
Cyrus,
one. Yeah.
he
What
was
what
so
what happened
huge.
to him?
What happened to him
He
was
was
he
such a
got
naughty-
so big. He just kept getting bigger and bigger, and it was
Yeah.
hard to keep a huge dog, especially like in the summer. He was
Well, at
so
the time,
hairy.
right?
He was like a mix. I think he was like a
Yeah, he was a-
Newfoundland something
yeah.
else mix, and we had no idea how big he was going to get. And
Yeah.
so my ex went and found a nice farm up in Hokkaido.
Oh, that's good.
And sent him away. At least that's what I heard. I don't know. I hear that people say that they found a nice farm up in the country. I hope that he's actually
kind of a
happy in Hokkaido somewhere.
Urban myth, but maybe it's
Yeah.
true. But that does make sense because Hokkaido's like pretty chill. Like,
Pretty chill.
cold,
There's a lot of
so
space there. It's
fur,
cooler,
you
so
know?
it'll be much better
Be
for
a nice
for
watchdog
him.
up
So
there.
I'm really hoping that he's happy there. Yeah, we had a lot
Interesting.
of pets. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so, well, you know, pretty much all that to say, like, just having been born into, like, this cult situation where a lot of the mentality was very fear-based, and it was all control-based. It was reward and punishment. And it's very interesting, like, how a lot of that has really affected the way that I interacted with the people within my family, outside of my family, and then like once I left, and by the time that I left, it's not like I left by myself. My dad left, and then we sort of like found our way out. I think I
Right.
was like 9, 10, 11. It was a process, there were as we left.
yeah.
And so all of a sudden, out of the blue, the thing is like when you're in the cult, they really look down on education. So I was not publicly schooled. I was schooled at home. Using like different like Becca books or this thing called like Christian light education, but even within that, because my parents, kind of like all over the place. My parents split when I was very young, and so I was always like going back and forth between the two of them. So my education was also very scattered. And then all of a sudden, when I was like 9 years old, they're like, okay, now what you have left, so you're going to go to Japanese school. And I was like, well, I don't speak any Japanese. Here we go. And it was like such a big departure from where I'd been up until then, because what they taught us was that like anybody who wasn't a part of this family, this group, they're outsiders. They're stuck in the system, and they had a word. They called them the systemites, and they would call them the Romans. So pretty much they were.
Yeah. God, I haven't heard the Romans
the
in
Romans.
ages.
They called the policemen the Romans.
I remember.
And so, like, I was born into an environment where it was very drilled into me that we couldn't talk to anyone outside of the group. We couldn't trust anyone. Their minds were clouded. They were flatlanders. They were two-dimensional human beings who could not understand where I was coming from. They were not safe. The police could not be trusted because they are Romans. I hope that's not like some kind of I think it's like a scriptural thing. It's not a racist thing about people from Rome.
Yeah. Those Italians.
Those Italians. Whoa, Aaron.
Settle down.
And so, like, immediately, like, going to school, all of a sudden being put in an environment where I had to, like, sink or swim, and I had to, like, rely on other people was really difficult because I had all of these trust issues. I was always told that you're better than these people. You are chosen by God for some amazing mission to save the planet and the souls of the earth. but don't talk to the other souls of the earth. There were like so
Yeah.
many contradictions that made it really difficult for me to just really be myself inside of outside of this like little bubble that I was raised in. And so
almost like racist in like in that way where you're superior because
totally,
you're in this little bubble
yeah,
of us, and they're like inferior.
yeah, they didn't know, they were not saved souls, and
Yeah.
so that was always like an interesting like struggle that I really tackled, or not tackled, I grappled with as from a very young age. Because I mean, there were a lot of contradictions that I always had. I was always looking at. Like, for instance, in the group, they would say, you're saved, you're a child of God. You can do no wrong. And then at the same time, they had things like, you're a toilet. I should probably explain that a little bit better. What was those? I think the whole thing was like pretty much be a tool, an instrument, be so useful, be as useful as a toilet. Everybody needs a toilet. You are a toilet. It was, yeah, and so these are really interesting concepts to try to explain to a very young child, and so
I think that was also like be humble, because like toilets are kind of gross at times. So
at times, but
be humble,
everybody
don't be
needs it.
proud,
Yeah, don't be proud, but then at the
Don't
same
stand
time, it's
out.
like you're so amazing and you're better than the rest of the people, and so it was all kind of things that I kind of struggled with as a very young kid going into that school environment, and then
Right.
learning new different like levels of authority and respect and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, like, one thing that was really interesting for me was so my dad he was legally married to my mom, and then there was my stepmom with whom he had the other 7 children with. However, whenever we would go visit my grandparents from a super young age, I wasn't allowed to talk to my grandma about my other 7 siblings. Like, it was a big secret, and
So your grandparents didn't even know
Well,
about your half brothers
see,
and sisters.
that's the thing that's so ridiculous. My grandma, she's a very perceptive woman, and she obviously knew something was up because she had seen my stepmom and a couple of the other kids, I don't know when, but at some point, and so, she would take me aside and she'd be like, hey, what's going on? Do you remember that lady and her kids? Like, what, are they okay? Do you see them? And I'd be like, I can see
Interesting.
nothing. Because, like, whenever we were in the car driving to my grandma's place, my dad would always, like, brief us. Like, remember, we don't talk about these things. And so there were always these compartments in my life about, like, oh, I can share this much about my life, but this is not cool. This will hurt someone. This is just not safe.
Right. Yeah.
And like, that's something that I think it really probably even plagues my dad now, that he was never able to have that open conversation with his own mom about the life that he's living and just be proud of all the kids that he has. And now my grandma has Alzheimer's, and so we can't communicate with her. And so sometimes when I see them together, I see it's a real struggle because he missed that point, that chance.
That's kind of sad.
It is kind of sad. And she always knew. I knew she knew. Or else why would she keep asking? But she was probably just waiting for him to come and be open. And that's when I had that understanding. I was like, I don't want secrets. I don't want, Junior to have secrets from me and be so afraid that I'm going to, like, judge him or whatever. I want him to know that I'm just as flawed and that I have my struggles, that things suck sometimes, but they suck less when you can talk about them and they're not some big, ugly secret. Usually secrets aren't as ugly as you make them out to be, is what I've been finding as I share more of them.
But in the end, you always, like, like on your deathbed, or like if you have Alzheimer's, you're going to be like, oh, I wish I would have told that person and came out about this, or
totally.
You don't want to live with that regret, People are always like, oh, I regret not doing that, or not taking that job or that opportunity,
Yeah.
If you do it and you fail, then you're like, oh, well, at least I
you
tried. If
tried.
you tell someone the truth and they're like, oh, fuck you, I'm not going to be your friend anymore, and then you'll be like, well, at least I tried.
Were we
tried.
actually even friends to begin with, right? Yeah.
So, yeah, that's definitely important.
Well, it's something that I realized was important for me, and that's when I got that whole "a man with no secrets is a man who is free," because I kept being in these situations where people would ask me about my past, and because my dad is like a semi-famous person
Sure.
here in Japan, he had created a whole story about his past and our past, and the moment I came onto the scene, it was like my story had already been written for me, and it was one where my past was not accepted, where I had come from was not accepted, and it was not cool to talk about. And I had to live in this story that he'd created, which did not work for me. Because as much as I have a weird past and it's been tough, and there have been a lot of people who have sank and could not swim past that deep, dark ocean,
Right.
I just felt like all of the shame around it was what was keeping it so dark. And I was like, actually, screw this shit. Yes, I am a high school dropout. However, and I grew up in this screwed up environment, and that was really weirdly like dogmatic and religious and strangely abusive. However, there's so many people who come out of it and who are successful, and it's an amazing thing. You know, whoa, firecrackers. It is amazing.
I don't know what happened there.
Firecrackers, that's what. It's
Screensaver.
over my head. Oh, I love it. Hello.
Huh.
It's very dramatic, Aaron. I didn't know that you had
Sorry.
such a
I had no
dramatic
idea.
thing planned. That's very cool. But yeah. Anyways, I was actually complaining about it to Masa for a while, because I was telling him, I was like, I'm so tired of not knowing who knows what story has been told around me, and I just want to be myself. I'm proud of where I come from. That's what made me so resilient, and that's what made me so resourceful, and made me just have this undying thirst for knowledge and curiosity and experiences, because I'd come from such a tiny, tiny little bubble. I just wanted to like expand like those fireworks in the back.
Right.
And he was like, what did he say? He was like, you know what? At any point, your dad or anyone in your family who is semi-famous could come out and own the story. And the question is like, do you want to be a part of their narrative, a part of the story that they tell, or do you want to tell your own story? And I was like, I want to tell my own story.
Well, you are a storyteller. Pretty good with your words, so
Sorry, I
might
keep
as
going
well
on
just
and on.
come
like,
out with it. You know.
Yeah. Anyways.
No, but I mean, I feel like, I think, like you were saying, like you went through all this stuff, and that's what kind of made you who you are today. So of course there are a lot of good things. I mean bad things, but there are also positive and good things as well.
Exactly.
And that is kind of like, well, part of the story that you want to tell, right?
For sure.
Like, you are like, if you didn't grow up in the cult, maybe you would not speak English at all, for example, possibly.
Yeah.
Same with me.
Yeah.
And then you wouldn't be doing what you love right now, which is
interpreting,
which is like your
the
job,
world,
traveling the world,
meeting just amazing people.
Yeah. So you wouldn't have been able to do all that stuff possibly without that.
Yeah.
And same with me too. I do a lot of my clients are all foreigners, the foreign community, and I do travel around and stuff like that, around the world filming and stuff like that. But I don't know if I would be able to do that if I was just brought up in just Japanese school, speaking Japanese. I probably wouldn't have ever met my wife. She's American, and my kids. So there's, of course, there are fucked up, screwed up stuff that maybe you more than me went through. But I think if you look on it from the other side of the coin, there are positives
there
about
always
it.
are. Like, every situation is completely balanced. There are as many positives as there are negatives, and whether or not you have an objective mind is whether you can see both of them at the same time. The quicker you can see both positive and negative at the same time, the less either one controls you, So, and so that's something that I've been, like, really working strengthening and training my mind to be able to see there's no such thing as a good or a bad situation.
But even though if it maybe it's not even like controlling you, maybe you just think it's gonna control you, but when you come out with it, you're like, well, now it can't control me, so it's out.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you can control it.
The narrative.
You don't have that or the fear of that controlling
Yeah.
you. You know,
Yeah.
I can't say things or I can't do certain things or be myself even 100%
Yeah.
because of this.
Yeah.
Or I only can be 100% with someone that knows, right? And someone else that doesn't know, you're just like, you know, a little box.
Exactly.
You know? And then
Yeah.
people perceive that you are this way. But once you're
Once it's out
free,
there, then you could be more exactly
Yeah.
who you are.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's only a problem if you're basing a lot of your self-worth on how other people perceive you. And for a long time, I had been caught up in that same world that my dad was caught up in, that game of like, I need people to think that I am a savior, or that I'm so good, I come from this clean background. But like the people that we admire the most in the world, like let's just say, who's a good example? Like Oprah Winfrey. She has like the most dark checkered background. She was raped by a family member, and then she was
went
pregnant.
some
She's like,
crazy
she has a
stuff, yeah.
crazy life, you know? Most of the people that we just love and really respect are because they've gone through so much hardship, and it took me a while to really own my hardships and the shit that I'd been through. But I really do love all of the dark parts that I'm aware of. There's a lot more darkness I saw tonight.
Right.
But yeah, and so I just didn't want to be caught up like a marionette, like a puppet with strings that I tied myself to some story. And I was like, I'd rather just be exactly who I am. How many high school dropouts can actually say that they've interpreted for, a former U.S. president, or for, the person who invented the iPhone, the Apple,
Apple.
and like even same for you. You've done like crazy shit, like unbelievable stuff. And wait, did you go to high school? No, you said you didn't.
I didn't go to high school. I think I dropped out at like 6th grade or something. So when you're like, oh, I dropped out of high school, I'm like, shit.
I know, a higher education.
Better than me. Ooh, bow down to that high education, bro.
No way, man.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm not saying you guys should drop out of school.
Stay in school.
School really works for some people. Like, it really depends. Some people really thrive in that school system. I was not one of those people. And so I'm really glad that I was able to find my way through it. But I got a lot of shit for dropping out of high school. And a lot of people really worrying about what my future would be like, and all of these different things.
Right.
But you know what? If you just keep going with whatever it is that your soul truly feels, you'll find a way.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Now that I look back on it, I wish I maybe did go to school more.
Yeah?
Cause
Why?
no, I remember like when I was in school, like I loved like language art. No, not language. Science. I love science.
Really?
Right? Geography. Loved it. History.
Really?
Loved it. Math was like, whatever, okay. And then language arts was my worst.
Oh, really?
Like spelling,
Wow.
reading, punctuation, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I was just
yeah.
so bad at it.
Wow.
And now I realize that because I'm dyslexic.
You're dyslexic,
Yeah,
really?
I didn't even know until
My
I was
brother,
like...
too.
Well, he's the one that
he
told me
told
that
you?
you
He
are.
told you
Yeah.
that you're dyslexic? He's like, we're friends now. We're both dyslexic.
We're dyslexic brothers.
Yeah.
No, but like that, I didn't even know.
Really?
And then I had a hard time learning,
Yeah,
especially
yeah,
that kind of stuff. And maybe my
yeah.
math was wrong too, because like I would switch stuff around.
Right.
But yeah, so I didn't even know until he mentioned it. And I'm like, okay, cool. But I wish I would have studied a bit more, because when one of my first full-time jobs that I got was English teaching.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, okay,
man.
my worst thing in school is now
It's
my
the thing that you're teaching
my
other
bread and
people.
butter. I was just like, oh.
But did that make it easier to teach in a way, because it was, I don't know, or I don't know, what was it like? No,
I was just
it's
like,
hard.
how do I spell learn again? Like looking at my
Why
iPhone.
did you start with English teaching? Just
Well, I had a bunch of other jobs, but that was just my actual
bread and butter.
first time that I ever did a full-time just job for like
That's
years and
crazy.
years was English teaching. So I'm just like in the back of my mind, I'm like,
Great.
I wish I went to school more. But yeah.
I think you're doing
But
great.
I'm just saying that was just kind of an interesting thing about the school thing that you're talking about.
Yeah. I didn't thrive in the school system. It wasn't my style. But I see like a lot of people who really do, and I'm just like, people, how do you do it? And I really have so much respect for the people who do succeed and really thrive in that academic environment. Not all of us were meant to thrive in that system, but there are so many other worlds, so many other industries in which you can thrive without having to have that sort of input from school. And especially if you are like a creative type of person, then school can really break that spirit.
Yeah.
It can try and put it into these boxes and these structures that it was never meant to fit in anyways, and sometimes that could just like dim a child's light. And so I would just say, the quicker you can understand who you are and what your strengths are and what you love, like what is your heart really calling you to do, and how you know that is like when you feel joy, then you know you're in the right direction. Like I never felt joy at school, but I did feel joy outside of school. I used to play hooky all the time. It was terrible. I like drag my sister along and be like, "We're not going to school today." And yeah, I think all she wanted to do was go to school, so I feel a little bit bad about that. But you know, we all do what we need to do. Anyways,
Yeah, so you wanted to just come out about
yeah, I just
growing up in a
wanted to
cult
just like
because
exactly
a lot of the stuff that you talk about or your mindset or just kind of like, does have,
yeah,
a little bit of
a little bit of that, and it's been I'll probably be referring to it sometimes in the future when I probably am going to talk about how I restructured my whole belief system and everything that I thought was true, everything I thought I needed to be. There were times in my life where I had to like literally, I tell Martha, and I wrote about this in like my journal several times, like over the years, but there are points in my life where I had to kill my old self in order to evolve and go on to the next stage.
So many times for me too.
So many times. I've killed myself not literally, figuratively, so many times.
Yeah.
And I call it my graveyard. I have like a special place in my heart and mind, and I call it the graveyard of old Junes. And sometimes I'll go back and visit, and I'll be like, oh, there's 17-year-old me, there's 7-year-old, 8-year-old me, 3-year-old me, 25-year-old me. There are all these different stages where I had to kill who I used to be and everything that brought me to that point in order to get to the next stage and to like re-emerge as a new gooey butterfly.
Right. Evolve or die.
Evolve or die, yeah. And it's really interesting because like sometimes I see people, and I think everybody has met this type of person. Let's say you meet like a 50-year-old woman who's still acting like a 16-year-old, and you're like, what happened to you? What? Like, what did you not get the memo that we're supposed to evolve? and not in a condescending way, but then I just understand. It's like, oh, you're still really holding on to that one version of you, and you have not killed it yet. Maybe kill is too strong of a word for some people, but you have to let the parts of you that are not working anymore just fall away and die.
Right.
And that's a lot of what I've done with my education and the things from being in the family, being in that cult. I've taken only the things that are absolutely imperative to growth. And everything else I've just let go. Just like let it die.
Yeah.
Let it like
Totally forgot what I was going to say.
Because how many times have you died? Are you dying now, Aaron?
No. Okay, yeah. No, because like when I'm going through like how like
posts.
Facebook or like some of those
the memories
pop up, right? And then I look at that 5 years ago and you see a
Yes.
picture, and I look at the picture and I can automatically be like where I was then,
Yes.
and like see my old self or a bit older self in that sense, and I can get taken back to what were my like thoughts and beliefs and where I was back in that picture, and it's kind of cool. It reminds you like most of the stuff is like, okay, I'm doing a little bit better, or in a better place mentally, physically, or whatever like
For
that.
me too.
Yeah, so that's kind of that's when I look back, not like the whole graveyard thing, but when I look at the pictures, it reminds me of
Takes you back to that moment.
Yeah, it takes me back to where I am.
How
so
far
that's
you've grown.
Yeah, so the picture is really because I'm
'Cause you're
kind of
very
creative
visual.
and visual.
Yeah.
So thinking about it might not come to me, but when I see the picture, I'm like, yeah, when I had that clothes and
Yeah.
I remember I was
true.
here and
that's why I love
it's a
taking
good
pictures
reminder.
and videos too. Like I know some people hate the Facebook memories. Like, why are you showing this to me? But for me, I love it. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
that was 10 years ago. I used to think that. I used to have these beliefs and
Mm-hmm.
these problems, and I just love seeing how much I've evolved from there
Right.
and how far I've gotten from who I used to be, and also the parts of me that are unchanging
Right.
too.
Right.
So that's really a great thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, all that to say, guys, life is tough if you're holding on to the illusion of control. Like if you think
Right.
you found one way that will work for the rest of your life, then it might for a point, but then at some point it's going to become the very thing that is strangling you and stopping you from moving forward. So as much as possible, I would just do like a little inner check and be like, is this really what I want to take? Is this really what's going to help me in the next stage of life? And then, just learn to find a way to let it go for you. Sometimes the process, I don't know what it's like for you, but for me, sometimes it takes like a couple of months and I literally feel like I'm going into a dark tunnel. I feel like I'm going into like a dark tunnel
Right.
and I'm being like tested and squeezed and like pushed and pulled and like everything about me, like all of the things that I've been ignoring come up to the surface, and it feels like challenge after challenge keeps coming at me. And then when I try to work with it or try to do what worked up until then and it's not working, that's when I realized I was like, oh shit, now it's time to level up. And then the only way to get through that tunnel and not get stuck in it for the rest of my life or for years, when sometimes I've been stuck in that tunnel for years because I just refused to level up and let go of whatever habits or beliefs had brought me that far. But whenever I'm there, I'm like, okay, it's time to be the next level
Right.
of me, the next
Right.
next brave step.
Yeah. I think for me, I don't usually have like a big like this.
How
Big,
does it come to you?
it's just always just like little steps usually.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, I'm just gonna do this little thing,
Wow.
trudging away day after day, and then finally I'm kind of like, oh, I made it here. It's not like a few big steps. Yeah, I made it, and I feel like that.
Yeah.
Usually, it's just very subtle. Like,
Well, maybe it's subtle for me. I'm just highly dramatic about it.
yeah, I guess at least for me, like
That's interesting.
it's just
Yeah.
little teeny little things.
And
But I guess
everybody's
that's
speed is different too,
right.
Everybody's on a different trajectory, different speed, and so don't compare yourself to other people. That's just like an immediate way to get sad. Only compare yourself to former versions of you.
Right.
That's all I have to say. Anyways, yes,
Yeah.
that was kind of just a brief overview of where I came from.
Yeah, and if people have maybe in the future episodes you might talk about certain little things more,
I will.
or if someone has
I
a
totally
question
will.
about that, or
Yeah.
if you have like some kind of experience that you want to talk that's related to like relationships and children,
Yes.
parents, then of course you'll get more into it deeply. But this is
I
just
will.
kind of a
This
overall
is just
one,
where I come from.
and why she's so fucked up.
Why I'm so fucked up and loving it. And absolutely loving it.
Yeah.
Anyways, is there anything you wanted to share?
I mean, you are the main. But
But-
if you have questions for me too,
If you
I
have
guess
questions
you
for any of us,
ask.
feel free to ask
Yeah.
and leave a comment. Oh man, there was a
Oh,
comment.
yeah.
I totally forgot
That's
to
what
read
I was going to
it.
ask you.
I was supposed to do that
Like if
housekeeping.
there was a comment
Guys,
or
I'm
some
really
kind of a message
sorry.
that you got from our previous
I
YouTube
did.
podcastings.
I totally did.
We can
Sorry,
just-
hold on. Let me just bring it up. Okay, so I got a comment about episode 2, about
Where?
postpartum
In the YouTube?
in my
Podcast?
to my
Messenger?
Instagram.
Instagram, okay.
I got this is from a friend. I don't know if she wants me to say her name or
Don't
anything,
say name.
but
Just, you can say
so pretty much what she said was, "Hi, I just listened to your podcast episode 2." And she writes this in Japanese and English, so I'm just gonna say it all in English. And she said,
You
"I'm
are a
really
translator,
enjoying
after
listening, to it. And sometimes I can't pick up everything you say, so I'm thinking of re-listening to it several times. And she says, postpartum depression is a very serious issue. I didn't have it myself, but some of my friends did. And about 3 years ago, my junior high, one of the other students in her junior high, a girl jumped from a bridge because of postpartum depression, and she left her 5-month-old son. I was so shocked when I heard that. She was a nice and cheerful person. I also heard my grandma was hospitalized for a while because of depression when she had her third child. She's so powerful, and she's a strong-minded character, so I couldn't believe it. So, what I understood was that no matter how strong you are or how bright you might be, or how powerful you might be, this is a sickness that can affect anyone. And she said, good job for you for overcoming it, and just the fact that you're alive and that you're raising Junya is a really amazing thing. And she said that, I think that a lot of people are going to be helped by your podcast. Ganbatte ne. Very kind.
Wow,
so thank you
that's
so
a great
much.
comment.
It's so sweet.
That's so good.
I know, I loved it.
That's
And
a
I was
sweet
just
comment.
like, oh, thank you for sharing, because I was feeling like we didn't really cover a lot.
Yeah, that one was very short and just very brief.
It
But
really
hey,
was.
if you can touch even
But
one person's life, for the day, that's great, right?
Yeah, it was super great. It was
that's the
so
point.
sweet, and I felt really good about it. And that's the
Very
thing,
sweet.
like there's so many topics that we all live through and go through, and I don't want them to be stigmatized. I want people to be able to talk about them and stop having such a fear about them, and like all of these secrets that are making us like chained to whatever, That's bullshit. Let's talk about them.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
that's that. Okay, so this topic, I guess, will be going into the wrap up. My brave step for today.
Okay.
Is to,
cool.
telling our very small group of listeners.
Hey, we
who
got
probably already know.
We got
we got 16 original downloads for the first episode. I haven't actually checked for the second one, but I'm guessing that the 16 because some people messaged me and said that they didn't know how to listen to it or where to find it, and so maybe they mistakenly just downloaded it twice. So I'm guessing it's probably actually around 8, but we love you, 8. Love you.
Like, I don't listen to podcasts that much. I think I mentioned before. I listen to YouTube, and watch YouTube while I'm listening to podcasts.
Yeah.
So a lot of people might be doing that.
True.
So it could be like a half kind of thing.
Could be half.
Half podcast downloads
check.
and half YouTube views if it's out there.
It's true.
Yeah.
You're right. That's a good point. Okay. Well, I could probably look at all those.
Yeah.
So we're on iTunes podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, Instagram. You can follow us on our Instagram at the CPR podcast.
Please follow.
We'll
be Instagram right now is not that much stuff, but we're going to be posting
we'll
short
be
little
posting
clips
and
more stuff there.
As it comes up, I'm sure it'll start to come to life.
Yeah.
A lot of it I post on my personal Instagram. I'm going to start moving it over to that one because, I don't want anyone following my personal Instagram. See? Still, secrets. It's a process.
Yeah.
Anyways.
What
was your brave step, or what's it going to be?
What's it going to be, a brave step? Doing taxes.
It's tax season.
Count as a brave step.
Totally.
It's kind of paperwork, and you got mountains of receipts.
Mountains of receipts to go through, like a year's worth. I need to actually get on that too.
I know.
So that can be my.
So this is tax season right now. I think next month is the deadline, so I'm trying to do it today. Actually.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Thank you for scheduling.
So that's
us for this.
Yeah, this afternoon I'm going to do that. So that's my brave step. Just to get that out.
Bravo.
Hopefully
That's intense.
crunch that out in a couple hours.
Good job. Wow.
Yeah, I hate paperwork and stuff, so just getting it out of the way for the year is
it's a
my
good
brave
thing. But paperwork is also your friend too. That's what I'm trying to drill into my mind. Paperwork is also my friend. I just need to get.
No, it's definitely worth it to do, but it's just.
It's true. It's just a barrier. It's like the thing is, once you start, at least once I start, I don't stop. It's just the getting to the starting point that is so such a struggle for me sometimes. So you're right. I just need to start too. Anyways, so you guys too.
What's your brave step?
Talking about my past.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
Oh, are we talking about my new next
Yeah, the
brave
new
step?
brave
Okay,
step.
let me think about that. That's actually
That
a
you're gonna
good
do
point.
this week or next
I'm
2
gonna
weeks,
do
right?
this. Oh my god. Okay, so I'm gonna be interpreting / attending this seminar called Mose, starting tomorrow, 4 days.
What is
Mose
the
stands
Mose stand
for
for?
Mastery of Self-Expression, and so pretty much it's highly confidential what they do in there, but it's incredibly. Man, so the guy instructing, his name is
Larry
Larry Gilman. That's right, Larry Gilman. And he's like this amazing guy. He works with, like, he's one of Robert Kiyosaki's master trainers. He works with, like, the top actors and actresses and just, like, the most amazing people in the world to teach them how to really just let go of their baggage and how to express what your true self is trying to say. And so I'm going to be there interpreting. I'm also going to be participating, which will be incredibly intense.
Yeah.
It's not something you normally do. Usually I'm just interpreting.
Yeah.
Or participating. Yeah. But this time I'll be interpreting. Yes, that's
But yeah, Larry, I've been to the event.
It's
I've met Larry a couple of
intense.
times, and he's
the real deal. He's got a true kind.
Yeah, it's a very different seminar. Actually, I made the promotional video for that, so we'll probably put that in the link if people just want to see
what kind of an event it will be.
What you're attending.
Yeah, and totally.
They do have this all around the world.
All around the world, yes.
I know
this is only the second time they're doing it in Japan.
They do it in Taiwan and different parts of Southeast Asia.
Yes.
So
it's a powerful experience that I will go and be empowered and probably broken by too, in a lot of ways, in the best ways. So that is my brave step.
That is a brave step. Very brave.
It's hard to express exactly why it's brave until you've actually been there, but pretty much what he does is he gets you to a place where you tear off all of your defenses and you realize there's nothing to prove, nothing to defend, nothing to be. Just you yourself and your most naked and vulnerable and soft parts that you feel you need to hide, like that. He shows you that that's your true power. And anyways, that takes a lot of bravery, even for me, who I feel like I'm constantly doing, but there's always a different level. Anyways, that's my brave step, and I hope that you guys all, have a brave step that maybe you've always known you needed to take, and now you feel it's the timing, and whatever it is, send me a message. Share it in the comments on YouTube. Send me an Instagram message. Whatever, it's fine.
Or even if you don't want to say what your brave step is, you can just comment like, I took a brave step. That's
really great. And also, if you send me like a comment or a message, please let me know if you want to be kept anonymous, so I don't feel like I have to decide.
Well, if it's a private message, obviously,
okay,
right?
Yeah, good point.
If it's on Instagram or YouTube or
it's true. Then I could just
you can just say
got it.
Or even give like props to Mrs. So and so.
Yeah, I want to be able to give props, so if it's okay, please let me know. And anyways, please take your brave step. And we'll see you in the next one.
Bye, guys.